Well, the new contest dungeon is over and everybody's already arguing about it. I wouldn't expect anything less. But we're not here to talk about that. We're here to talk about this freaking thing right here, the all-new dungeon exotic Heirloom, which, yes, everyone will immediately identify as Chewie's weapon from Star Wars. They did a pretty good job visually replicating this weapon, I gotta say. It looks just like the picture. Also, is Chewie trying to seduce me? What the fuck am I looking at right now? Doesn't matter. Today we are going to do an early review of the new exotic. What it can do and is it worth your time? Mainly in the context of PvE, by the way, because I'm pretty damn sure that's what it was designed for. I did take it into PvP just to confirm those suspicions. That went about as well as you'd expect. But more on that later. For right now though, let's go over what the Heirloom can actually do. Big Game Hunter. Aim down sights for a period of time to overcharge the next bolt fired. Increases damage and area of effect for each charge level. Here's what that means. As you ADS the weapon, you'll notice a meter slowly filling up on the screen. The more the meter fills up, the harder the shot will hit for, and the larger the overall blast radius will be. How much harder and how much bigger? Well, let's find out. Here at the firing range, if you just do a regular hipfire shot with no charge up at all, you barely even get an explosion. See again, as I fire, all the nearby hive are completely fine. But if I charge the thing all the way up to max power and then pull the trigger, it's kind of like a bomb going off. The blast radius gets way bigger and we ragdoll some nearby red bars. As for the damage numbers, I got a whole spreadsheet with my deranged note-taking, but I'll just give you the short version. Without the exotic catalyst, if you're shooting an enemy in the head with no charge at all, you'll hit for 1,557 damage total, split up between two damage numbers. At max power though, you'll hit for 3,362 damage, which means you're hitting around 115% harder, which is kind of a lot, and pretty damn good in general considering Heirloom is a special ammo weapon, not a heavy weapon. I should also mention that charging up your shot doesn't eat up any additional ammo. You'll only ever spend one ammo pulling the trigger, whether that be a rinky-dinky no-charge shot or a max power send half the room back to hell super shot. So, what is the downside? Well, I'm gonna be completely honest, having to wait a second or two for the damn thing to reach full charge can be moderately annoying. As a twitchy, hyperactive FPS gamer, I don't like having to wait for my damage. I want it now. But if you're kind of a patient dude and that kind of thing doesn't bother you, then this thing might be right up your alley. And there definitely are more downsides to the Heirloom, more on that a bit later. Earlier though, when I mentioned damage numbers, you might have noticed I said without the catalyst. Yeah, Heirloom has a catalyst that you can get after completing the post-dungeon quest, which also unlocks weapon and armor focusing. And if you were wondering, the catalyst really ain't that complicated. Direct hits with charged shots scorch the target. This weapon deals more damage against scorched targets. Regarding the first part, you don't actually have to fully charge the shot in order to inflict scorch. As long as you've charged it up to at least 1 meter, your shot will inflict scorch on the enemy. As you can imagine though, the more you charge up the shot, the stronger the scorch damage will be. I found that at charge level 1, the target took 111 scorch damage in addition to the overall damage dealt by the shot itself. At charge level 2, it was 208 scorch damage, and at charge level 3, aka max charge, it took 334 scorch damage. Also, in case you were wondering, I tried slapping on Ember of Ashes on the solar tree to see if that would do anything, but no additional scorch damage for the Heirloom. Was worth a try, I guess. Regarding the second part of the catalyst, aka dealing more damage to scorched targets, here's me straight up damaging an ogre at the practice range and doing 3,362 damage total, again divided up between two hit markers. But when I shoot the ogre after scorching it first, I now hit for 3,698 damage, meaning the catalyst lets you hit scorched enemies 10% harder. If you didn't catch that small detail, by the way, even though the catalyst will let you scorch enemies that you shoot, you won't get the 10% extra damage automatically. You'll have to either shoot them once with the Heirloom to scorch them and then shoot them a second time while they're scorched to get the 10% higher damage number, or you could just pre-scorch them with literally any other ability you have that can scorch and then shoot them for the 10% extra damage. So, in a nutshell, we have a really not complicated exotic that just has the mentality of haha big boom, which is kind of refreshing in a way because sometimes I do like to turn my brain off and hit things really hard. But how good is the Heirloom in the grand scheme of the meta right now? I got curious and decided to do some random damage testing with other popular weapons that sort of fit under the same umbrella as Heirloom, aka weapons that hit hard. If we're looking at Heirloom firing a shot at max charge in the head with the catalyst applied and against against an already scorched target, and to be generous, I'll throw in an ignition as well, which is likely to happen. That'll be 4,845 damage in one shot total. Again, very not bad damage per shot for a special weapon. By comparison, the Parasite at 20 stacks will hit a boss for 6,407 damage. Yeah, not really fair to compare a special weapon to a heavy weapon, but again, they both kind of fall under the umbrella of big damage in one shot, and I was curious. Izanagi's Burden with a 4 times honed edge shot will deal 2,695 damage. Mint Retrograde, which is still insanely good, can deal 1,179 damage in one shot, which seems low, but that is without any damage boosting perks helping it out. Finality's Augur, which kind of a strange comparison, but bear with me, can deal 8,632 damage in one turret deployment, which to be fair does cost 3 ammo, but it does all the work for you and lets you attack with other weapons while that little guy is doing his thing. Hipfire dumping the entire mag of Choir of One will deal 5,603 damage. And again, I'm fully aware that none of these comparisons are apples to apples, but that's just because exotics are usually pretty unique in how they function. And yes, I did just casually refer to Mint Retrograde as an exotic. It basically is at this point, and you know I'm not lying. Anyway, while Heirloom does very good damage on a per shot basis compared to other hard-hitting weapons, I'm not entirely sure that it's going to shoot up to the top of the meta. I mean, I could be wrong, guess we'll see, but the 3 major drawbacks to using Heirloom right now are: 1, the time it takes to charge up a max power shot; 2, you can only fire off 2 shots before needing to vent, aka reload; and 3, the competition. I've said it before, and Lord knows I'll say it again. We are many years into Destiny 2 at this point, and there are a lot of weapons in the game, meaning competition is pretty fierce. Granted, you can always use a gun if you just enjoy using it, ain't nothing wrong with that. But if we're talking pure meta viability, yeah, there's a lot of competition. Not sure how much y'all were paying attention to the contest dungeon race, but a lot of teams out there were using the extremely godly combo of Finality's Augur and Mint Retrograde, and some other stuff thrown into the mix too for sure. But those two are an extremely hot fire combo right now. Jerry, aka the Finality turret, and don't ask me why half the people I play with call it that, can rack up very respectable damage on the back burner while you just completely mag dump with a damage boosted Mint Retrograde. And yeah, I know we're comparing using 2 guns together versus just 1 gun, which isn't exactly fair, but still, the point I'm trying to get to here is that DPS competition is pretty damn extreme right now, and I'm not sure if the Heirloom will be able to hang a lot in that department. But then again, I don't really think it was meant to. Not every new exotic needs to be god tier DPS, because then power creep would be crazy. I think Heirloom is just a fun exotic that will let you turn your brain off and smack the Christ out of enemies with just 1 pull of the trigger, and I'm fine with that. Of course, someone could maybe develop some godly damage strategy that uses Heirloom together with a legendary heavy weapon. I could see that maybe being a thing at some point in the future, but I guess time will tell. Oh, and real quick, PvP wise, I was very much wondering if a max charge shot from the Heirloom could one-tap an enemy guardian in PvP, and the answer to that is very much no. Even if you hit them dead on in the body, no dice. Which I guess makes sense, because if you could charge up 1 blast half the room in PvP with just 1 shot from a sci-fi movie prop, I think the community would probably be pretty pissed off. But yeah, don't take that thing into Crucible unless you're a real glutton for punishment. Swing by the Twitch channel sometime. Thank you very much for watching. Peace.